Spencer Pratt, welcome to the All In podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You had an unbelievable debate performance the other night. I have so many friends that were texting and people obviously were tweeting about it. Let's start with that. How are you feeling after the debate?
I just wish it had been like 2 hours or 3 hours because the list of their failures that we didn't even get to touch on, it's unbelievable. So it was the most fun I've had in years because what people don't realize is they're pathological liars. So when somebody gets to be on the stage with only facts and the truth, that's why there's this incredible response to it, because everybody that always watches these lying politicians, they know they're lying and nobody gets to yell, they're lying. But it was very hard to be respectful because all the lovely Democrat moms that love me, that want to keep supporting me, they asked me to please stay calm, cool, and collected. So the whole time I was doing my best behavior to not interrupt the lying, which if I hadn't been tasked with that mission, I would have been like,
it was hard
liar, liar. But
I'm going all in.
Every few years, a new ad channel opens before the market catches on. That's Axon.ai right now. The AI ad platform behind one of the biggest runs in tech with access to over 1 billion daily active users. Full-screen video ads in mobile games watched for a median of 35 seconds. Businesses are profitably spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a day on it, and most advertisers don't even know it exists yet. The window is open at Axon.ai/all-in.
A lot of people said they weren't expecting such a great performance. Like, you were so well prepped, so well versed on a lot of the facts, on the actions you were going to take. How did you get ready for the debate? Did you do work to get after this?
well, thankfully, people argue with me all day long in every single media hit that I've done for months because they don't want me to get into the machine. So every interview I do, unlike these politicians, it's opposition. It's arguing. When these, Mayor Bass or Councilwoman Rahman talk to the media, they can just lie, and then the media people go, oh, thank you, Mayor Bass, thank you, Councilman. If I say anything, I gotta have who was there, what they were wearing, what they have for breakfast. I have to have my information so fact-based and be bulletproof to beat this machine that I debate. All I do is debate people all day long.
You're held to a higher standard.
Exactly.
You're challenged all day.
And all I live in is facts and the truth. And so I called my lawyer who's representing me in the case against the city and the state and LADWP, one of the most famous lawyers in the world. I said, Peter, how do you stay so calm when you're arguing with these liars? And he said, Spencer, I always have the truth. I was like, ooh. I was like, okay, I got that.
Good strategy.
Yeah, so that was a great just message I took into that.
Can we, for people that don't know your story, and I want to just give you a couple minutes to tell it, let's go back to the fires. Where were you, and where was your family, your wife, your kids? Where were you guys when these fires kicked off, and how did you end up evacuating, and what was that evening like?
Well, let's even rewind before the fires. It just shows you that our emergency situation is not the level it needs to be, because I didn't even know that there was this crazy wind weather event. My son had pneumonia, so I was up every night checking his temperature, and I'm on my phone a lot. I'm a phone person, and I didn't even know this was extra dangerous, dry weather. So that just shows you, if you rewind, we weren't even informed at the level clearly we should have been. So the morning of January 7th, I was doing my normal routine, making my espresso, about to dance to Taylor Swift, Look What You Made Me Do on Snapchat, which I've done since the Reputation album dropped. And all of a sudden I see our nanny running down the street. She comes in with our 2-year-old at the time. She's like, the workers up the street said there's a fire on the hill. Again, this is not crazy. Like Mayor Bass acts like, we never knew, but we're well aware fires happen. There had just been the Getty fire that everyone ran out of their houses for.
I grew up in LA.
Okay.
I've been through the fires. They've been going on for 30 years.
Yeah, so 3 weeks before, all my friends fought a fire in Malibu. So I was even planning on starting my own fire brigade like my friends had. And I was talking to Heidi, like, we need to get a hose. We need to get a truck. And so I was well aware of fires, no matter what anybody says. This isn't a shock. We also know about Santa Ana winds. So I run up the hill where we hike every day for the last 9 years. And I see the smoke, coming from like the Highlands area, which is where Lockman, which we now know the fire was really from 7 days earlier, and it had been smoldering for a week. And I see the smoke, and I FaceTime my wife. I was like, yeah, maybe pack and go down to my parents' house, just to be safe, because my parents live in the Palisades. I grew up in the Palisades. It's the opposite side of where we are. We're at the top of the hill next to State Park, there by the bluffs next to the ocean. You would think that'd be safe. So she loads up just diapers, kids' clothes, and goes to my mom's house. I stay up there, FaceTiming every local, what's going on? Very confident, because I assume I've been paying, I don't have any money because all my money goes to taxes. So I assume all these tax money is firefighters are coming.
Got to be going somewhere.
It's going somewhere.
Right.
I was very naive. And I also lived next door, again, in the debate when Mayor Bass was like, he's lying, or that's not true. There was only one reservoir that was empty. Ma'am, Mayor Bass, I live next to the one you don't know existed, the Palisades Reservoir, 5 million gallons next door to my house that the fire department would do almost, not weekly, but bi-weekly drills. They would connect up there. They would make me move cars if they needed to bring the hoses. I was always saying to my wife, well, this is annoying, but gosh, we're set. They have a thing where the helicopter could dip in there. Not the Santa Ynez Reservoir that she was referencing, that she lied about and said was for drinking water, which obviously, if you Google, LA Times will show you when it was made, it was for wildfire protection. That's why it has cisterns. That's why it has helicopter dip sites, because it's for wildfire. So I was very confident. I have a video of myself filming, can't wait till the helicopters get here, not realizing that they drained that, Janice Quinones, the LADWP, drained that reservoir in June of 2024. I must have been out at Erewhon when they were emptying it or whatever. So I was very confident in 2025 in Pacific Palisades that pays probably almost a quarter of the taxes for the whole city, I would guess at this point. They're not letting the entire town burn to the ground. So I didn't pack anything. I didn't, prepare for our house to burn down. I called the fire department directly because I have their number. I say, hey, we just see one truck up here because, if the fire comes around, there's just this one place of dead brush. And if you put water on it, it won't come and hit all these houses. And they said, we have no assets available. I'm like, whoa, that's scary. So then my dad comes up, and we got the hose and he's hosing a hillside. And finally I'm like, Dad, let's get out of here. Firefighters are probably coming. So
And your wife and kids are gone at this point?
they're at my dad's house, which ends up now the fires come from Temescal Canyon and it's crossed over. So my older sister calls, she's like, what are your kids doing there? They better get out of there. I'm like, what is happening? So now I'm, this is insane. It's like a bad movie.
Yeah.
And I never heard any sirens. People, like real locals, will tell you, if you talk to me, there was no sirens.
Yeah, I've heard this from a lot of friends in the
So
Palisades.
that was if I had heard sirens, I would have started packing things, maybe stayed, but you don't feel scared if you don't hear sirens. There's no sheriffs or LAPD or any emergency vehicles coming up on the street. Everybody get out of the house, like in a movie. There was no movie stuff. And, so you always think everything's like a movie, but nothing was like a movie. So then I stay till the fire comes down the hill at 5, 6 o'clock at night. Again, when she was talking about this wind, Mayor Bass, I'm standing at the top of the Palisades. I connect to the state park. There was no scary winds. It did not go past 40 miles per hour. And it's now been, even CBS did a great debunk post yesterday, CBS News, with a journalist that was up there that I was correct and I wasn't lying in the debate. And there were planes
fire
flying.
just moved. Yeah, it moved.
So
It was windy, but it wasn't.
So I talked to the chief, Bobby Garcia at the U.S. Forest Service, about what he thought went sideways the day of. We don't know because the after action report has been edited multiple times by Mayor Bass, which she denies, but the LA Times stands by their reporting. And he said the initial fire wasn't made skinny. You're supposed to attack the fire on both sides, and that did not happen because, ready for this? Mayor Bass brought up there was no planes. No, Mayor Bass, you never called in fixed air wing support. She never did. You know why? She was in Africa.
She was in Africa.
And you know who was supposed to do it? Her deputy mayor, but he was on house arrest. So LA City never even called in fixed air wing support to drop water. Thankfully, LA County, Cal Fire showed up and the U.S. Forest Service. But that's how out of the loop Mayor Bass was on
So
this.
when did you find out your house was gone?
I watched it burn on my security cameras. I watched my son's bed burn in the shape of a heart, which is the most spiritual, crazy, like shape of a heart coming through the bottom of his bed. And then I watched each room until
You're watching it on the cameras.
on my phone in gridlock traffic,
Yeah.
on like where the 405, like where the 10 goes to the 405, that one ramp. I'm just stuck in traffic watching it. But thank God, as I'm watching it, I can't reach my dad, who I'm thinking is dying, trying to save his house on the bluffs, and I'm calling 911. I've been trying to get these audio calls to just post the level, and they say they don't have them. But I'm calling 911 to find out if my dad is okay, if he tripped. So even though I'm watching my house burn down, I can't reach my dad. So that's taking away the material connection. I'm like, my dad cared more to me than my house burning. So I get on 911, they're like, what's the address? Like, oh, no emergency personnel can go there. My dad lives on the bluffs. There's like,
So you're like losing your mind at that point.
there's 12 ways to get to my parents' house.
Yeah.
So this idea that there's no emergency personnel, and I'm telling them my dad could be burning up. So these 12 people that did burn alive, I know firsthand, if one of their family members or relatives or neighbors was calling 911, they were told no emergency personnel can go help them. So thank God my dad obviously lived and he got out. And I was like, Dad, could you get out? He's like, yeah, I drove all, you could drive anywhere. So they didn't even.
Brutal. So in the aftermath, this hits you, must have hollowed you, wrecked you. How was the next couple of weeks kind of trying to put everything back together? And at what point were you like, man, I'm going to try and figure this out? Like, was it an immediate call to action for you? Or was there a period of time there where you were trying to put everything together?
So my wife and I, when we were very successful in 2009, we spent millions of dollars on her pop music album with all the most famous music producers and writers in the world. But we didn't have the money to promote it. It's just, nobody ever heard it. But we did that. The 15-year anniversary of that album happened to be January 10th. The house burned down January 7th. So when I have zero money now, because everything I ever put into was in this house for my sons, everything I own was in this house, I'm like, oh my God, we have no money, we're done. Yeah. I'm getting emails because January 10th is this anniversary date, 15 years of our album. So I go on TikTok Live and I say, anybody please, I have no money right now, our house just burned down, please stream my wife's album, buy it, and thank God for the planet Earth getting behind me. I think maybe 12 countries put it #1. Everyone streamed it. It was the first time an album from 15 years went to #1 on Billboard charts. So that was taking me out of the dark trauma, because I'm focusing on right away pivoting into like, we're going to rebuild. And I was naive to think streaming music, you could get a house back. Thank God I did make like $150,000, but if this was 2006, we would have made millions of dollars. So it took my mind off it. Obviously, my wife is trying to get our kids into new schools. She's not even connecting to this. This is so positive, honey. Everyone's supporting you. So when that wears down, I realized, oh my God, this is not enough money to build anything. We were stuck with California Fair Plan because we were dropped by farmers after paying for 8 years, and we have no money to rebuild. And I start questioning, like, why did our house burn down? It shouldn't have burned down. And I call up my friend who I just was at a groomsman in his wedding, and his dad had just fought Edison in the campfire. Maybe I'm pretty sure it was campfire at Paradise, and he beat Edison. So I call him. I was like, can you represent me? I want to sue the city. I want to sue the state. I want to sue LAUSD.
So you're a fighter. You go after
I'm just done. Case on.
Fast forward a little bit. 5,000 homes burnt.
7,000.
7,000 structures. Yeah, 7,000 homes. Whatever it is. Why are you the guy that comes out of the fire and says, I'm going to fight and I'm going to do something about it and I'm going to change it?
Well, thankfully, I had this experience of already being like a hated media personality. When you put yourself out there, especially when you're fighting machines like Gavin Newsom and his social team, and they're calling you a conspiracy theory, and the LA Times is calling you conspiracy theory because they're saying, this is climate change. There's nothing that could happen. Well, guess what? The day of the debate, the judges overruled the appeal by the state and the city of LA. Guess why? Because of the negligence that caused the Palisades fire. It's moving forward. Discovery's open. So this idea that I was this conspiracy theory, climate change, wind guy, that a normal person would have, oh my God, I'm being attacked by the governor of California on social media. Most people back down. you burn my house down, you burn my parents' house down.
You've been through it. You've been in the public. You've been a fighter in public. You've got this character that allows you to kind of stand up. You have this capacity, and you have a bit of a platform going into it.
So it was on.
Yeah.
And once I got the truth, all the LAFD whistleblowers were coming to me, telling me that they were told to leave the smoldering Lockman fire on January 1st. They told me that Mayor Bass was fighting the battalion chief who's editing they're editing the after action report, obstruction of justice. They're telling me that the chief fought her for that $17 million and warned her that Angelenos would not be safe. So I'm getting all this information so I don't feel like just this fringe social media voice.
You're like, man, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
So you fast forward, the campaign's up and running now. You have
Well, let's rewind.
Yeah.
So when I see that no one's running against her, I reach out to Rick Caruso. I call him and I say, you gonna run after Mayor Bass? Because she's gonna guaranteed win June 2nd, 51%.
Totally.
And I cannot accept this as a human being at this point. And I call him and he says, go after Bass, implying he's not going after Bass. And so game on. No one else stepping up.
He told you to do it.
Yes. But I was already doing it. But if he was going to do it,
You were not-
obviously
totally.
I wasn't going to go against.
Totally.
Yeah, I was like, okay, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And he said, go after
So
Bass.
how's the campaign going after this debate this week? And I want to talk about the campaign ads because the ads have almost elevated you to what I am hearing from a lot of people is almost like a historic campaign. The ads are cutting through in a way that people have never seen before. Are those your ads or are they being produced by a third party and put out there? Because I've heard from some folks, there's a guy, Charlie Curran, that might be involved or other folks that might be separate from your campaign that are putting these out there. They're breaking through the mold that everyone's like, this isn't a political campaign. This is almost emotional. It's a movement. People want to like get behind you and they don't even live in LA.
So the ad that blew up crazy is when I showed Bass's house, Nithya Raman's $1 million mansion, multi-million dollar, and then my Airstream. That one broke every ad record in history. That is, if it has my name on it, it's legally mine. Anything like these incredible grassroots ads,
Yeah.
if I don't put my name on it, it's legally not mine.
So there are people out there doing these ads, not in your campaign,
Correct.
that are creating this movement.
Correct. Because people feel the common sense
They
in my
feel
message.
that totally. It's connecting.
I keep trying to tell everyone that, they try to put me in a box. I didn't run to be a political party. I didn't run to be a politician. I ran because I experienced what city leadership failure at the ultimate level is. That's why I stepped up. That's what cuts through. So the media and everyone wants to jump on and be like, oh, Spencer's our guy. No, I'm the citizen. I'm the angry taxpayer. You can be a Democrat and love me. You can be a Republican and love me. The only people that don't love me are communists and socialists, and I don't want them to love me.
There was a saying from John Adams, 1776, where he said, public virtue cannot exist in a nation without private virtue, implying that citizenship involves sacrificing your personal interest for the greater public good. And Thomas Jefferson also spoke at length about taking a turn providing civic duty. Everyone has a civic responsibility to support society at large, but if you're going to go into government, if you're going to go into politics, you do a tour of duty. It's not a career. It was never meant to be a career. And it's almost like the local, the state, and the national level, there's an entire industry of people that have built a career in politics. And then you come along, I would think Donald Trump's come along, he's almost like another one of these enigmas that came out that it resonated with people, that you're actually standing up and saying, I'm the guy who's on the other side of the problem with all of this. And this is why this needs to change. It seems to be creating a movement.
Yeah, I feel like I connect more with Cincinnatus, this guy that was just
Totally.
a farmer.
I actually have Cincinnatus written down
I
right
was like,
here.
that's
I
what
was going to mention it. I'm like, oh, it's too esoteric.
Oh no, that's
so
what I
great.
connect to because
Totally.
I'm like, this guy went and fought this battle.
Totally.
They wanted to give him all the power. And he's like, no, I want to go back to my family. And initially when I ran, I would say, I want to do my 4 years and then go back. I realized I need to do the 8 years, lock this in, get LA, the #1 city in the world. Then I can go back to my family. So I'm prepared to do the 8. That's my tour of duty. And when people say, oh, this is your house, this Airstream, I go, no, that's my forward operating base. Because this is a battle against good and evil. They let 7 people die in the street every day with our billions of tax dollars. And they say, we need new beds. It's a drug problem. 90% of these people are drug addicts. We need to get these people mandatory treatment. Then we could get them beds. And also, they don't have to have a bed on the west side or next to people's houses or in San Pedro or right next to schools. They can have beds in facilities that we build out. My friend Matt Hess has an incredible facility in Bentonville he built for veterans. I've been talking with him where he has veterans come here. They have all these services. It's beautiful. I'm like, how do we build this incredible compound, beautiful possibilities? I guess in Italy, some billionaire did this for addicts. That's my vision, where we have all this.
Take care of people the right way.
Exactly. All the services that you'll ever need in a beautiful setting, not in a cement brick building that looks like a prison. An addict, when they're getting off drugs, they don't want to be in a 250 square foot little cell, no service. We put them out in nature. We're spending $25 billion plus. We have enough money where it's actually cheaper to build the most incredible facility out in nature that bring these services, that provide for these addicts, and you separate people. Everybody doesn't go in one building like they do right now. If you're a veteran, you go over here. Single mothers with their kids, families over here. Somebody who's just a hardened criminal drug addict, you go over here on this side of the hill. And we need to build this out, and we have the money. But guess who doesn't make money if I do that? The NGOs that are stealing all of our tax money to increase prom, giving these people pipes, giving them needles, giving them the Narcan, letting them OD 14 times a night.
Let me just hit on the NGO point. What is the corruption there? Help people understand, because a lot of people think this is like a MAGA talking point. I hear this thrown about all the time. People use MAGA as a term to dismiss when someone says something that is factually jarring to you. I've noticed this. Like someone comes along and they point out something, and it's like, oh, that's a MAGA talking point, as a way of just dismissing it instead of actually listening to what the person is saying. Can you explain what goes on with these NGOs? Like, how do NGOs create a system that the more we spend, and in the last 10 years, City of Los Angeles, I think, has increased homeless spending by 10x, and the homeless population has doubled, and clearly it's gotten a lot worse. Why is that relationship there, and what's the role that the NGOs actually play in this? And I promise not to call you a MAGA guy for telling me.
Well, first off, when you said homelessness 2x, homelessness 200x. The count for homelessness, when Mayor Bass in the debate was like, it's down 17% from like, these are the most cooked numbers. Even the RAND Corporation says what they're saying is 30% increase. But they just drive around and they go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not going in under these encampments and bridges and bushes and unzipping these tents and going into the sewers. So we don't even know the count. But let me tell you my first experience with the NGOs. After the Palisades fire, FireAid, 100 million raised. Every single person I talk to messaging me, no one's getting this money. No one's seeing a dollar. I go to Washington. I ask senators to investigate this. We open up the case. Now all of a sudden FireAid puts out a legal letter to defend themselves. In their own legal letter from the law firm, they say several of these NGOs gave directly to fire victims. The list for the 100 million is 200 plus. Google several. It's under 10. So even in their defense, they're telling you, and again, I don't believe one of those 10 gave directly. The people that they said did, they're like, we gave gift cards. Who would you give gift cards to? You don't think one fire victim, they're messaging me all day long, said, hey, I got a $500 gift card. So that's when I learned firsthand that these NGOs will take and right in your face 100 million and just steal it. So back to it being a MAGA thing. The person who really exposed the details to me is this incredible Democrat mom, Samantha from the Integrity Project. She made her own little charity nonprofit because she's now tapped out of her own money in her neighborhood in Westwood. Her and her husband, they're both lawyers. And this homeless housing went up on their block. It was senior citizens. They kicked the senior citizens out, and it's Weingart. Their audit is late. Let's just put it that way. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars. This is the best part. So the building goes on the market for $11 million. 6 days later, the city with our tax money gives Weingart $29 million, $28 million to buy this same building that was $11 million. There's nobody to this day, years later, being housed in this. Weingart has developers paying $750 a square foot. When I've talked to developers and contractors, it should be $250 a square foot. So they make this money with these developer kickbacks. They have all these shell companies that, oh, this is our developer, it has nothing to do. Ready for one of my favorite parts? With that $30 million, who do you think owns that building in Westwood? Not the taxpayers, Weingart. So this is the Shelby House. I just went to San Pedro, right across the street from a school, 600 feet away, right across this beautiful little, nice, with old people in this community. They're kicking senior citizens out of one in San Pedro, and they're gonna put hardened criminals, same thing. This one's like $80 million. So what they do is they take our tax money, they take grants, they take federal and state grants, and they cook up a little plan. Here's this, we're gonna house 80 people. Yet they don't tell us that that's $700,000 a person. But everyone's making, these people, the NGOs, get $1 million salaries. The people below them get 500. Nobody's actually helping anyone, because ready for this, there's no requirement to house people. And then in the state of California, this is the craziest part, with the home key rules, the state won't give the city a lot of the money if you require the people to be off of drugs. If you say you can't do drugs in this housing, oh, well, then you can't get access to this money.
That's unbelievable. And just to be clear, what an NGO is, legally, it's a 501c3 organization. Anyone can set one up. Anyone can file the IRS form, create this entity. Once you've created the entity, you've legally created it. You've got an IRS form, costs a couple $100 to do it. Now, theoretically, someone who might want to be, I don't know, a crony or a thief. A criminal, as you might call them, whatever you want to call them, they can now use this entity that they've created to basically get access to all this money from governments that aren't necessarily keeping a good eye on the money. How do the politicians that are allowing it to happen, or the bureaucrats in the government that are allowing that to happen, how do they benefit? Because why would they do this? Why would they let this money flow out to these NGOs in a way that's clearly not in the taxpayers' best interest?
Well, you can go the conspiracy route, or you can just go, look at all these things we're doing. So there's two ways to look at it. They get to say, oh, we have this housing and this services. These people just bring them this easy out, like they're trying to fix something while still looking good. Like, oh, that's this NGO. Criminal, they got caught. So then you go conspiracy, and you could say, well, are these people helping campaigns? Do they have PACs? So there's money going, are they helping? So that's more conspiracy, that's fringe, but in just the sense, it's an easy way out. Oh, we're solving this, we're working on this. Two ways you can look at it. I think they're all criminals. Thankfully, I've talked to the Justice Department sources, and city officials are going to go down. They are complicit. Here's the hard part about catching these people. They're literally taking money with poker chips, goods and services. Criminals are smart now. They're not just saying, Zelle me the money.
Right.
But from my sources, we are going to see actual city officials go down. Not quick enough, because they gotta frame these people up. But again, how does Spencer stop this when he's mayor? I've met with the criminal investigation team at the IRS 6 times. First week in office, you bring all of them in. We audit every NGO, every document that hasn't been shredded. Now, some people, insiders at City Hall, have told me, they're shredding these documents. I have more faith in my criminal investigation team. They'll be able to figure out without the documents, even if they're shredded. But that's what's happening. They're shredding the documents.
So let me ask, Karen Bass, a lot of people you would assume would feel like she failed the city with the fire. Why is she still able to stay in office? And why is she in the lead in the polls for running for mayor? Why are people still voting for her?
She's the lowest in the history of the polls of an incumbent. So she has 20%. So 80% of LA does not believe that. So the polls are confusing. She's the worst record in the history of the city. So 80% of people do not think she's doing a good job. 20% is crazy bad. That's why Councilwoman Rahman jumped in the race 1 hour before the closing, because she saw I was gonna beat Mayor Bass and her DSA team, for people that don't know, Democratic Socialist America, that she co-governs with as a city council member. They were like, get in, you can be the fake Democrat and Spencer will take out Bass and then you'll get in. She endorsed Mayor Bass 2 weeks before she jumped into the race. They worked together on all these things. Mayor Bass door knocked to get Councilwoman Rahman, who was about to lose her councilwoman seat. She door knocked with her to get her in and backed her. So nobody backs Mayor Bass, and any of the media that's trapped in these lies, they are on, it's not Mayor Bass's fault. It was high winds. It's an unprecedented disaster. It's not true. It's precedent. We had the Bel Air fire, Mayor Bass was alive for. With the Mandeville Canyon fire, Mayor Bass was alive for. Not unprecedented. So the polls mean nothing. Everyone that's voting for me is not taking a spam call first off. They're not talking to a stranger on the street because they already feel so unsafe. They're not letting a rando approach them, period. So,
It's interesting. Both candidates, Rahman and Bass, I don't know if Bass is self-declared socialist, but obviously she spent time with Castro's organization in Cuba.
So she's a Venceramos Brigade member. She spent 20 times going to Cuba. So when they say, Spencer doesn't have any experience, look, he was a reality star in 20. No, I wasn't training with terrorists that would later bomb the Capitol. That's who Mayor Bass is, who only denounced anything communist when they were trying to make her the vice president.
But my point is we have like a self-declared socialist mayor in Seattle and now in New York. What is going on in cities that people are standing up and raising their hand or filing a ballot saying, I want a socialist to be my mayor? And now we're seeing this kind of emerge on a national basis. I've talked about this a lot. I got my own perspective on it. But like, what do you think is going on with the people on the street as you meet with people, as you get to talk to them? Why do they want that persona? Why do they want that policy, the socialist policy?
I don't even think they're aware of it. I think we have such tribal politics that people that are against me just think, oh, he's not with us. It's so gang that they don't even realize who they're with and what these people represent. They just think, oh, it's not that group. And that's the problem when you nationalize politics. We should be a city. We should be all together making sure the streets are safe, the lights are on, there's no potholes, the sidewalks are there. It's that basic, but we've gotten to this nationalized politics where they don't even care who, they just think, oh, they're not that person. They're not connected to that party. So also they tell these people, we're going to make things more affordable. We're going to give you free money. This idea that works. I had this guy, Rafa, he manages a bunch of the Dodgers. He's Venezuelan. He came up to me at an event recently. He's like, I felt like I was in a scene in Braveheart. It was so intense. It's like William Wallace in my face, big Venezuelan dude. And he's like, I fled Venezuela because of socialism. And I fought everything for my family. And I will not let my kids have this socialism in LA. I know what happened. And I was like, I know, bro. We're good. Like, join the team. You're with me. Let's go door knock. But people who know what this idea of giving you money, it does not work. It's this fake lie. What people forget is they can't lower the cost of goods. The only thing you can do to make things more affordable as mayor, which I will be able to do, is put more money in people's pockets. We need to put more revenue in the city. We're over here, they're always asking me, how are you gonna balance this budget, Spencer? There's gonna be no money to do this. We should be the number one city in the world. We should have money shooting out of ATMs. We're Los Angeles. There will be plenty of money when we let the systems work, when we let business work. How can you let business work if you have drug addicts going number 2 and number 1 in front of every cafe? We lost over 100 restaurants in LA, not because they weren't good food, because you have drug addicts scaring people to go out. That's why they're Uber Eatsing, they're doing DoorDash. I talked to a mom the other day who works in downtown as a lawyer. I know her because of her kids are my friend's kids. She said, Spencer, we're not allowed to leave the office building. Our food has to be delivered in. That's why restaurants are closing around downtown LA, because the workers that are still trying to work can't go outside of their buildings because it's unsafe. The number one thing in a functioning city that we don't have is safety. If you don't have a safe city, and they'll tell you, Mayor Bass will tell you, Councilwoman Rahman, crime's down. She'll say the murder rate's down. Well, that's a national trend. Please don't try to take credit for that. But crime's down because people have given up calling 911. I talked to a guy today at lunch. He said he watched a lady the other day on Wilshire Boulevard, right in front of the federal building, the FBI building, this nice Latino lady get punched in the chest by a crazed drug addict. He pulled over his car, tried to be a Batman hero, jumped out. He's like, stop that. The ladies were so used to it, like, thank you. They get on the bus and go. He watches this guy get a PVC pipe, start banging on cars. He calls 911 and he's like, they just act like it's no big deal. It's this normal LA. Finally, he starts ripping a bike off of a bus. He calls 911. He's like, he's ripping the bike. No big deal. Now the guy's coming at him. He says, he's coming after me. And they're like, okay, somebody's coming. Police come. He's like, arrest this guy. Like, well, nobody's here and there's no witnesses. He's like, arrest this guy. He's arguing with the cops. Every cop I talk to wants to enforce a law, but they can't because the power is behind them. They're not taking any of these citations. Ready? Because it's culturally insensitive to cite and ticket someone without an address. That's why the dogs are being abused, tortured, mutilated, raped on the side of the street. People are filming this. They know what's happening. But even Stacey Gaines or whatever, Stacey Daines was head of the animal control or whatever, animal services. She said, oh, we can't. The city mayor's office said, culturally insensitive, we can't go after people without addresses.
Dude, that's unbelievable. It makes me so angry.
That's the problem. They keep on calling me the angry white guy. They don't get every race, every gender, however you identify. If you live in LA and you're paying your taxes, you are angry.
But most people don't see it, is the other thing. So like Skid Row, most people aren't there all the time. We host our All-In Summit in downtown LA. It's our last year. We're doing it in September. It's a really big event. But we're not coming back. So most people I know don't get down there. We have people from all over the world, 60 countries come to our event. They're like, what the hell is this place? We can't be down here. When you see it, you're like, what?
Well, here's the problem. We keep talking about Skid Row in LA. This is all over the valley. This is in Westwood. This is in Hollywood. This is everywhere. Before my house burned down in front of Palisades Elementary School, across the street, my son's Methodist preschool, where I went to preschool, there was a lady cleaning her private parts in front of kids almost every morning at 7:45 a.m. We call LAPD. They come and they go, ma'am, no more. She'd go walk down the street and she'd go number 2 in front of Joe's barbershop.
Yeah.
So it was coming to the Palisades. It's coming everywhere. Yeah. This is not when I went to USC, it was Skid Row.
So we have this issue in San Francisco where I live, and Mayor Lurie came in. I don't know if you followed what he's done. He's an unbelievable guy, old friend of mine, and done an incredible job. He arrests people. He puts them in jail, but crime has stopped. Car break-ins are down 87% in the city. 87%. You no longer have hordes of people walking into stores, stealing everything, walking out. As soon as you just enforce the law that's already in place, boom, you're 90% of the way there. Everything kind of, it doesn't take a miracle. It just takes a will and someone who can actually manage and organize to get this stuff done. Give them the votes, get them there.
So I met with Victor Coleman, who owns most of these studios, a lot of real estate in LA. And he talked to me about Mayor Lurie in San Francisco. He said, Spencer, when they tell you you have no experience, you just tell them Mayor Lurie didn't have any experience running a city. What he did, he came in and enforced the law. He said, my portfolio in San Francisco is booming again. My portfolio in Los Angeles, it's not doing as well, let's say. And he said, you just need to force the laws that exist. And a lot of people always say this to me. They go, what are you going to do with all these people? A great quote, a famous police chief told me, once you start putting handcuffs on people, watch how many people leave.
100%.
This idea that everyone, if you let everyone do drugs and do whatever they want and let the criminals make the outside asylum and with no guards, if you let them do that, they're going to do that. But so when I'm mayor, my plan is first 3 weeks, signs up across the city, no more nakedness, no more drug use, no more robbing, no more
burning dogs in the street.
No more dog abuse. On every sign, on every part, and we're gonna go around, we're gonna warn everybody, hey, got 3 more weeks of this, like clock's ticking, just keep telling everyone, so the people that are aware, they're like, oh, wow, there's a new mayor in town, they may start leaving. And then when the 3 weeks, or maybe we'll even do 2 weeks, maybe people will want it faster. And then once we start enforcing the laws, boom, streets will be back. You know who else I'm gonna bring in? The CDC. Because there's medieval diseases in these encampments. They're not swabbing these encampments. They're not swabbing the streets. People are just living in feces and drug use and dogs burning and bodies. We need these streets cleaned.
Yeah. What about the building of the team to execute? You're looking to sit in this executive role. Have you ever had a role where you've overseen tens of thousands of employees before? I'm assuming not. I've read your bio, but how do you execute? Who do you bring in under you that actually knows how to manage the system, manage the people, deliver the message? You can form strategy and set objectives and so on, but walk us through how you're actually going to deliver as mayor operationally when you step in on day one.
So the great news about running for mayor of LA is everyone wants to save LA. Everyone wants LA to be number one. The meetings I'm taking every week now, the lunches, the brunches, the dinners of beyond successful people that are willing to work for $1 a year, pause their companies to come in. People are telling me just with algorithms alone, we can 100x the bureaucracy of the city and building and development. When I'm mayor, there's going to be so many cranes in the city because we're going to be rebuilding. The amount of money, just last week I probably met with 10 billionaires that are ready to come in and build LA up to be the #1 city in the world. So when they say, oh, you have no experience? Well, what I do have is humility. I'm humble. I know I have never ran the second largest city. I know smart people who have done it. We need to be bringing in the CEOs that have ran the biggest corporations in the world to come in and work with, because they'll tell you, no, you need to know the city at a certain level. You bring those people in, but the people that execute the multi-billion, like they say, oh my gosh, Spencer, this city's a $15 billion budget. Well, there's people I'm meeting with that have $50 billion budgets that are going up, that go up. So these people exist that I will surround myself with. I already have a deputy mayor that I can't say because of fear of retaliation in the city of LA. That will make sure the most important thing we do, because all this talk doesn't work if you don't enforce the law. So I have a deputy mayor that will help me enforce the law. And that's the priority. When we enforce the law, now all these creative ideas on execution work. But if you don't enforce the law, Mayor Bass could bring in all the same people I'm meeting with, but she won't enforce the law. Councilwoman Rahman can bring in all the same people that I'm meeting with. It won't work if you don't enforce the law. No one's putting money into the city of LA until they know there's a mayor that's gonna make sure the streets are safe for all the moms, the kids, the dads, everyone that just wants to be a normal human being that just pays their taxes, goes to the park, go to dinner. So until you do that part, all this, who's gonna be this, is irrelevant. But the list of people is, so again.
I'm sure, because I hear it from a lot of executives I'm friends with. They're like, man, this message resonates. People want to get involved. They want to step up. Like I said, people not from LA want to step up. Outside of keeping the streets safe, outside of building a reasonable fire suppression infrastructure, getting back to basics, what about education? We have young kids. LAUSD spends $23,000 per student, $101,000 average teacher salary. It's #1 in the country. But LAUSD, as a school district, ranks 170th in the state of California. And only 46% of students are meeting or exceeding standards in English, 37% in math. What is there to do about education in the city to give all of the next generation the opportunity to progress, to realize their potential, and to not fall into the traps of socialism and communism because they're despondent and they don't have opportunity in front of them? How do we get that generation to succeed?
Well, from my own experience with my son who was in LAUSD, and it was even a charter with Palisades, this is supposed to be the best version. At all times, every parent is just trying to fundraise for books, for learning, for an extra teacher. And it's like, what is going on? If I'm gonna spend this much money, I'm gonna put my kid in a private school. How are these schools? So first off, we gotta back to auditing. The biggest issue I've learned with the city of LA, whether it's the school systems, everyone needs to be audited. Where is all this money going to? First off, at the fire department, the police department, the waste of this taxpayer money. So let's figure out first out where the money's going, because if it's cost this much for each student, yet as a dad, I'm trying to always donate, have fundraisers. We gotta track the money. And that's another thing that when we talk about what's Mayor Pratt, it's accountability and transparency. Every dollar of tax money in the city of LA needs to be on very easy Cliff Notes level dashboards so we can track and get results of where all of our tax money is going. But back to how we make kids know socialism and communism doesn't work is we give their parents hope again, and we make the parents demand. I have parents right now that are pulling their kids out of a school, public school that my kids are in right now because of that messaging. There's no more Pledge of Allegiance. There's no more America's, good. We just need to go back to having pride in being Americans. We've gotten so far off of just America's awesome because everyone's fighting with political, and it's like, oh, American flag is like, I can't put that up. Like, we need to get back to the basics of where our grandparents were when they were fighting World War II and had pride in being Americans. But to me, it's the money. Where's the money going? Like, if you want things to be better, we got to stop wasting money. The fire stations that I meet with, they're charging $250,000 for doors, $50,000 for refrigerators. So I think tracking money is the source of all of this.
I have a buddy, his house burnt down, unfortunately, as well. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna meet with Spencer Pratt, any questions? He said, what about this stupid ass $3 billion expansion of the convention center?
My favorite part about the convention center is like less than a month ago, it's just a dead body in the bushes in front of the convention center. So that's the idea that we're gonna put billions of dollars into something that has dead bodies in the bushes in front. Why aren't we putting the billions of dollars to getting the dead bodies from stopping to be on the streets every day? but I don't want to say, initially I was like, stop that. But now I'm in this like, LA's got to be the #1 city in the world. So maybe we don't need to use LA money, but let's do private partnership. Who's going to come in with money to do something right now we can't afford? But I don't want to be the one now that's like, we don't want to stop building. I actually like the idea of having a convention center because the LA that I'm about to build, when I destroy 40 blocks of drugged out zombies that are taking all these empty buildings, so much business and commerce is going to come in. We're probably going to need that convention center. Currently, there makes no sense. With the current administration, Mayor Bass is elected, it's the dumbest thing you ever heard. If Councilwoman Rahman's elected, it's the dumbest thing. Mayor Pratt goes in, and we're putting billions of dollars of money back in LA. Restaurants are back. We're probably gonna need that convention center. So initially, when I was first fighting this fight, my message was, let's get back to LA I grew up in. I was like, started taking on this meeting with billionaires ready to give me $500 million. I met with a billionaire, anonymous billionaire, that agreed to be the fund czar. He said, my family gave $300 million to New York for a project. We'll give you $500 million to bring fun back to Los Angeles. I was like, can I tell people about you? He's like, no, I'll be the anonymous czar. This person is for real. So to me, when I hear there's $2 billion, if I make that convention center a little bit more fun, I have a $500 million now that we can make it the fun convention center. And I just cut that cost in half. So yes, right now, it makes no sense.
Have you met with union leaders?
No, they all back Mayor Bass. So they're all gonna love me because everyone's gonna have more revenue. Everyone's gonna have jobs. LA is gonna, so when they're like, you're not gonna win because you don't have the unions. I don't need the unions to win. I have the moms. I have the animal lovers. That's more than any union. You can't get that endorsement. Moms across the city of LA, not moms just in the Valley, not moms just in San Pedro, not moms in South Central, not moms in East LA, not moms in Boyle Heights, not moms in Eagle, everywhere. Moms don't feel safe. The city is unsafe. No matter how much crime stats, the feeling of unsafe is resonating. And my message of, I will be the guy that's fighting to get safety back is gonna get me elected. And I keep telling people I'm gonna win on June 2nd with 51% of the vote. November is they're fighting for November. I win June 2nd. But the unions, obviously people think it's this big issue when you won't, when your city's amazing.
How are you gonna work with them? So you win on June 2nd, all the union leaders call up your deputy mayor, say, I want a meeting with Mayor Pratt. They come into your office one at a time. They sit down across the table from you. What's the message?
The message is we're gonna work with you to make sure you get these benefits that you want, but they need to make sense right now at our trajectory. We're gonna get to where what you need to feel comfortable in your city role is great, but there may be a minute here where we gotta tighten things up. I'm gonna find all these homeless NGO billions that are being laundered, but we need to get real accounting. Right now, we don't have outside budget advocates we don't look, if we're increasing a union 10% salary, even though everybody else in the private industry isn't getting increased, we need to have a balance. We need to make sense for all Evangelinos. We can't have everything just for this small percentage because they're cooking votes. But don't get me wrong, unions. I'm gonna make so much money in this city that we're gonna have plenty of money that you're paid what you're supposed to be paid. Law enforcement is going to get paid what they're supposed to get paid. We cannot lose law enforcement because they're getting paid more in Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, and Orange County. So we can't we're already losing too many law enforcement. We're losing too many firefighters. So we cannot make it where they don't want to work. And a lot of the issues where people see these salaries that are so crazy, it's overtime. But if you don't get the hiring up to speed, then you have to pay these salaries in overtime. And even that, these people that do get paid, these crazy things you read on Google, those top it's a niche amount of people. And they've sacrificed their family. They're working 32 days. These people are crazy. So they've given everything they have to be that firefighter or whatever that's. So again,
the unions aren't your enemy. You're going to find a path to working with them. Even though they're not here for you right now, they're with Mayor Bass. You're there for them.
They're still hardworking people. I'm going to a lot of fire stations. A LAFD union for sure endorses me. They just are scared to do it publicly for retaliation. LAPD, for sure, the members all endorse me. I promise you. The interaction, who's messaging me, who's calling me, who's texting me. The union power, Mayor Bass currently writes their deals and their checks. That's real. I don't judge them for that. It's the system they're in. But the membership, they want to feel safe. Most of the firefighters can't even live in California anymore. 60% of these guys fly in. And I say, well, why don't you guys live here? Like, it's not safe for our families. I want them to move back. I want that tax money.
One of the other stories about LA over the last decade or two, I grew up here. I have a lot of friends who grew up in Hollywood in the industry, and it's been gutted. There's no business in LA anymore. And that's a huge employer for so many Angelenos working in Hollywood and all of the ancillary supporting industries. Do we rebuild Hollywood in LA? Is Hollywood done because of AI and YouTube and independent production and studios don't matter anymore? No one does broadcast. What's the future of Hollywood? Is there a future for Hollywood in LA, and what do you do about it?
So when I was 20 years old, I sold the youngest ever, so the first reality show to Fox as the youngest executive producer ever. And I sold it to Peter Chernin when he was the co-chair at News Corp. It was with David Foster, who's actually hosting my fundraiser on Monday, full circle. Shout out David Foster, legend. But I called Peter Chernin up a few weeks ago. I said, Mr. Chernin, PDC, how do I save LA? It's one of the smartest human beings on earth. And he said, Spencer, as mayor, you're not going to be able to change the bigger picture of Hollywood. That's more governor, uncapped. What you can do to really bring back jobs, bring back Hollywood, is bring back independent filmmakers, independent production, independent artists. You prioritize the indies, you could have Hollywood booming in a tier that people didn't see coming. And all my friends who haven't given up, that are still, because I grew up in LA, I went to Crossroads. All my friends are creators, they're artists. They're still fighting, they're not giving up. When I talk to them, they've all doubled down on the indie route. When I talk to them, they say, this is what we need to hear. We want to make this work. And you work with them. Mayor Bass brags about like, oh, now you can film at the Griffith Conservatory instead of 70,000, it's 30. No, when I'm mayor, I'm going to help you produce these freaking movies. We're going to have whole blocks, and we're going to use the restaurants to keep them alive, and we're going to use the crews, and we're going to eat out of there, and we're going to use all the city resources to almost be in production with the indies, but making money together, not like a communist or socialist, but bring the city, enable, give them the support, get rid of these fees, the clearance, make it easy. Right now, like I said in the debate, I talked to producers. If you want to film on the streets of LA, it's so unsafe, you got to pay gang members off to get it. We're going to have it so safe that an indie crew can pop out with all their cameras and gear and nothing gets stolen. So again, someone like Peter Chernin, I said, Peter, when I'm mayor, can I keep calling you? And his exact quote, I'm always here to make you smarter, Spencer. Awesome. So these are the type of people they say, oh, you have no experience. These are the people that are going to make LA #1.
But that is the future. I mean, everyone is all about independent production. If you work for a big studio or work for Netflix, you're getting paid cost plus 10%. You're better off producing on your own. There's definitely a flourishing happening. It's just happening everywhere else. It's not happening in LA.
And obviously, I've reached out to David Ellison's team. I've reached out to Ted Sarandos. I've reached out to everyone because I don't just want to be the indie guy. I want to figure out how I go fight whoever the new governor is, get uncapped, get post-production uncapped, nobody should be going to UK. Nobody should be going to Canada. With respect to these countries, I love you guys, but we're not sending our filmmakers there anymore. So whatever I can do as a mayor, the other night in the debate, they're like, we're going to do it. You guys have had 10 years combined. You haven't done anything. I love fighting these people. I've been fighting Sacramento since my house burned down. You give me bodyguards to fight these people, trust me, we're going to a whole new level of fight. So again, I don't want to not have studios come back. We have all these empty lots. I would love big productions to come back, but initially as mayor, I can fight for indies. But don't get me wrong, I want Hollywood to be Top Gun 3 right here, take off from LAX.
Tell me how you address transportation in LA. There's always a new scheme or a new system being developed. What's your view on what's wrong about transportation in LA? And how much are we wasting on things that don't really matter that we could recoup and reinvest elsewhere? What are those kind of priorities for you?
So I just went to the new opening of the D line today just to troll, to get some yimbys to yell at me. Yeah. And the funniest part about transportation to me is it's a beautiful idea when there's no human urine, human poop on there, a drug addict's butt hanging out. People forget, every single person in LA sends me their photos. I'm now 311. I see what LA looks like. These people go, how do you know all this information? My phone, I can't even open it anymore because it's just naked drug addicts. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. Who cares how many lines that metro connects to where? It could connect to the moon right now. But if drug addicts are smoking fentanyl next to your kid, you're not going to the moon on it. So first off, it's back to safety. We need these metro, the subway, whatever you want to ride. Bicycles aren't even safe. The Yimbys want more bicycle. You couldn't even pay me to get on a bicycle. A drug addict zombie will hit me with a crowbar when I'm riding by. We need to get safety back. And of course, I love these transportation ideas. I hate sitting in traffic, but I've grown up in LA. I'm aware of traffic is a part. So yes, we need this, but we also need the money for it. We need to build LA up. Right now, I think 15% of the budget goes to the metro, with 5% people use it. Again, I feel like if I made it safe, I could get 15% to use it, and we could even that out. We got to make sure that nobody's hopping any turnstile. We need to make sure you're paying to be on it so that it's safe people on it. Again, back when I clear downtown LA, you can drive for 40 blocks. When I clear all these empty, abandoned buildings that the drug addicts are burning down and using all our firefighter resources and risking their lives, when we clear that all out and we use these 3D printing, I talked to an architect today, one of the most famous architects in the world. He has a crew of like 12 architects. They already did all these designs for these buildings that nobody listened to them. They met with Newsom, they met with Bass. Of course, I'm like, let's do it, set me over the decks. We're gonna have LA so beautiful, no more of these high density SB 79 prison-like structures. We need to bring Art Deco back. All the architects that moved out of here because it was so hard to build, takes 8 years, they're gonna be moving back because we're gonna speed up building. It's not gonna take 8 years. We need LA to be the most beautiful architecture in the world. I don't wanna go to Venice. I don't wanna go look at Venice. I wanna go to Venice, downtown LA. I'm gonna have a canal. And then the Yimby people, they can have all their bike lanes going through the sky, through tunnels and things. Right. We need to get creative with LA.
Can you address the regulatory and permitting problem with construction and building in the city as mayor? Do you have enough authority to do this? So can you talk a little bit about the actions you would take to unleash this kind of wave of building that you want to see happen, that everyone talks about wanting to see happen in LA, but there just seems to be so many layers of permitting, so many processes, so much approval, but it's statutory, it's written into the law of the city. Do you have the authority as the mayor to actually be able to go in and address that and unleash this without getting these folks that are the assembly people and whatnot to work with you?
So I had a lunch today he volunteered to be the new head of LA Building and Safety. I said, well, you're the first volunteer of somebody who does this at the highest level for right now in private business for Los Angeles, knows we'll add them to the website. Back to like my team. The goal here is to put the whole team listing their bios. He said, Spencer, we can do this so easily. We can fix all these things. I know all the errors because private business is the ones fighting the city all the time. They know where all the stops. I met with this affordable housing developer, Carlos, on Monday. He said when Mayor Bass announced her initiative, she was gonna rush it 6 months. He's at 2.5 years in the permit process. He said, Spencer, we can fix this so easy and build beautiful affordable housing. He said they're getting these tax incentives to build cells for people, cells. He said because they get more incentives to put more people in the building. We need to change that. We need to make it where he's saying two-bedroom, a nice two-bedroom he can do for $250 a square foot versus $750 a square foot. These other developers are using the tax incentives, charging the city, and then putting more bodies in there. So yes, we can do all this stuff when we take these people out. Perfect example. My Airstream, it took weeks for LADWP to put one wire to my Airstream from a pole across the street. That's the cut the red tape town. Yeah. This is the fastest recovery.
Operationally, you can address that. But all of the permits that are required, design review, like
we
electrical,
gotta bring in AI. I know people don't like AI, but even Caruso, he was trying to, initially, he had this whole thing, he put the money up with Steadfast, and he offered this AI program to Mayor Bass to
it can read it, yeah.
Certain zoning situations. If it meets all this, boom. Right now, it's like out of a bad movie. Some guy comes, he misses 3, and he has to do like 1 checkbox. He's like, I'll come back and do that. Like, it's out of a bad movie, they say. It's truly, and if you go to nobody's even in these offices. You have to set an appointment. You can't just go into these places. They all work remote because maybe COVID, they're still.
Yeah, they work 3 days a week, don't they?
We're in crazy land. So again, all these meetings I keep having with very successful heads of companies that tell me, Spencer, when people say you don't have experience, you tell them, these are people that have multiple companies. They say, I'm never the most experienced person in any of the rooms of my company, but everyone in my company is the most experienced person in what they need to do in that role. And I'm well aware of, I don't know any of this stuff, but I know I want LA to be the number one, safest, most beautiful. How do we get there? Who are you? What's your resume? What's your background? Oh, wow. Okay, come on. Keep in mind, Janice Quinones, who was the CEO of LADWP, who drained 2 reservoirs leading into a known year of the driest fire weather season, took out the water with no plan, no backups, no tankers. She was getting paid $750,000 a year plus her benefits. There are people across the United States running water and power in functioning cities that we can go recruit and say, hey, come to LA. It's going to be safe and clean. And we're going to get you a nice place. You take over. People want to live in LA. I'm not trying to give people jobs with respect to Antarctica. Hello, talent will come here.
Right.
There's people all over the world that are telling me, hey, we want to make LA the Silicon Valley of the world. LA should be the tech center of the world. With respect to San Francisco or wherever these people are, in Marin County, I don't even know where they are. Wherever you guys are, you're coming to LA. LA is way doper.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a beautiful, safe place and way more room to build all your tech companies and robots and drones, whatever you want to build. We're gonna build them.
Pretty nice up there too, but
you know, they don't have the beach. You're gonna be able to swim without poop in the water. Right. It's gonna be incredible.
Well, I grew up in the Valley, and you go down Ventura Boulevard, it's all strip malls. These are all small businesses that are owned by families. They have been typically for 1, 2, 3 generations. Armenian, Persian, Hispanic populations, folks that grew up in the Valley. Small business, I think, is the lifeblood of this city. Like, it's such an important part of the city. We've never had major corporations that everyone works for. There's a couple of them, but generally, it's a small business town. How much have you looked at the regulatory, permitting, all the nonsense that goes into opening up a nail salon, starting a coffee shop, getting the permits required to open up a new store, and what can be done there to accelerate, to fast track, to enable all these folks, a lot of them first or second generation immigrants that want to come here and build, that want to start businesses, that want to have their own company. How do we get them? Because the complaint is it's just so friggin' hard today. It's so expensive. It takes so long. Have you gone through this and figured out what are the things you can just delete as mayor and what are the things you can just fast track as mayor to make it so much easier for people to start and run small businesses in the city?
So my friend in Venice, his neighbor, just bought the local bodega that's been there forever. And he was telling me they're about to give up. It's been a year. He said they're not even selling alcohol. There's no food. It was just going to be this basic bodega. And the list of things that it's taken in a year is so crazy. They'll make them put in one thing. And then they come in and they say, oh, no, actually it's like a maze. We need to just streamline all these things. And what I keep learning, whether it's transportation, sanitation, there's no accountability. People get paid no matter if they're a failure. It's not results-based.
How many turns a week?
Yes, nobody like, if you don't get this many permits. For instance, somebody called me yesterday, they go, why is Film LA a nonprofit? Which like they have to come to set. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this should be for profit to incentivize bringing production so they are getting, they're active. We don't care. It's this idea that, oh, I'm getting paid no matter what. Nobody cares. There's no checks and balances. Mayor is fine as long as she's driving to go to the airport to go to Ghana to have a cocktail party. There's nobody that cares.
Right.
Because I met with this guy, Juan, from Clean LA, who cleans the streets from all the trash. He's from Ecuador. He came over here and he said, what is this, Spencer? I'm from a third world country. It's so much more beautiful. I can't live here with my family. So he started cleaning trash on his own. And I said, well, Juan, what's going on? He's like, Spencer, nobody cares. They don't care. He says, I watch these trash truck things. He said, they pick up the trash and they just throws it like out of a meme and it just goes back on the street. He says, they're sleeping in the cars. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. I said, Juan, well, when I'm mayor, can I hire you? So Spencer, I will help run sanitation. He goes, it's supposed to be $1 billion. He goes, I could do it for easily $500 million. So I'm thinking, I just saved $500 million for taxpayers because Juan cares. And he says, I'll bring in people that care.
As mayor, you can probably auto-stamp a lot of stuff too, that today they're just delegating down to people who take a long time getting things done that probably you don't need to spend a lot of time looking at. Just auto-stamp the bodega license and let them run. Do you really need to have the guy go in and figure out where everything is?
This is back to, if it meets these criteria, we need to
Green light it.
incentivize.
Green light.
It's time.
Like, here's the auto green light.
LA needs to be like annoying how many cranes we see for the next 8 years. It needs to look like we're in China where they're building these bridges in like 2 weeks. We need all these cranes. There's no cranes. You can't even see a crane. My kids probably don't even know what a crane looks like.
If one of the other two candidates win, what happens to LA?
Well, I will have to move to Bentonville or I'm done. You know, that's why I'm fighting. People don't get it. I want my sons to grow up in LA. You cannot grow up in LA. You're done. You listen to them at the debate. They're talking about more beds. They don't even accept that LA is in a nightmare. Yes, I love LA. It has the potential to be the greatest place on planet Earth, but we need to acknowledge we are in a scary part right now in LA. The lights don't work on the street. They don't fix roads within a year. Every pothole's breaking everyone's tires. You can't get 311 to fix anything. We don't have enough cops to call 911. There's not enough firefighters. Towns burn down. Bel Air's gonna burn. Mandeville Canyon, Sunland, Tahunga, Hollywood Hills, all these are gonna burn. It's guaranteed. And like I said in the debate, I'm gonna put these dip sites a mile from everyone's how they're all gonna connect. They're gonna connect to private owners' swimming pools. I'm gonna work with the insurance companies so we can bring insurance back to California, first LA, because we're gonna show them the model. Because if they have these dip sites for these helicopters, we bring in more of these Chinooks that LA County uses to work with the Firehawks that we have with LA City and CAL FIRE, we can bring insurance back, which is the biggest problem right now for people building. We're gonna get rid of this ULA. I know I can't do it myself, but I'm gonna fight to make sure these communist type things don't ever happen to development so people can sell their properties, build housing. I'm gonna stop letting these tenants be squatters, criminals, make it so landlords have to pay them 50 grand cash to leave and then they go to a new landlord. I'm gonna stop the Section 8 scam so that real people that deserve Section 8 get it, veterans, families that need it, not just drug dealing criminals that are, abusing the system with fraud. But yes, if I lose, we're done. I'm trying to tell people, this is like out of a movie. Like, this is Independence Day. The aliens have attacked. It's an invasion is here.
Yeah.
And then as mayor, I have to fight all these DSA city council members and make sure they're never reelected. So not only do I have to do all that, but I got to fight to make sure that my next 4 years, there's never a DSA fake Democrat. They're not Democrats. Democrats love Spencer Pratt. All my friends are Democrats. All my supporters are Democrats. These people I'm up against, they use the word Democrat in front of the word socialist. Go look at the Democratic Socialist America's website, people. Go look at it. That's not a Democrat. Bill Clinton was a Democrat.
It's not an American.
Thank you. It's even worse. These aren't even Americans. And when you say that, people are like, oh my God.
This country was founded because people fled tyranny in Europe and then everywhere else in the world. And this was the bastion where you could find hope and an opportunity to be free, to choose how you want to behave, what you want to do, how you want to pray, to have freedom that the government doesn't tell you what to do and how to do it. And that tyranny existed all over the world, and that's why this country was started. And socialism is the most tyrannical form, the most tyrannical system that humans have ever come up with. And so you got the word socialist in there, you've already made the mistake because you've revealed yourself, my opinion. Sorry, I had to rant on my own show, but I took advantage of the opportunity.
I have very smart friends that are from LA, and I say, they're DSA, they got foot soldiers, and they go, what's a DSA? So it's a sneak attack. It's like Ninja Turtles. They're in the sewers. They're like Shredder and company. So
fast forward 8 years. You've been mayor for 8 years. I'm going to give you, it's a 4-year term, right? Two terms. You're sitting down with your sons and they're saying, Dad, what did you do to save LA? What do you tell them? Tell me about that journey in retrospect.
I would say, thank God people voted for laws, sons, and I enforced the laws that are there. I did what everyone did before the current leadership. So I keep telling people, the experience, I don't need to invent anything. I don't need to come up with this utopia of how a city works. You make a city safe and people will put money into it. They'll want to live here. Commerce comes back. Families will be able to go to parks and go to the beach and not live in fear. So to my sons, again, I'm showing them you can fight evil. These people are evil that let every innocent person that pays their taxes feel unsafe on their streets that they pay taxes for. A lot of people don't have money to do things because they pay all their taxes, like me, and then the city and the government fails them. And whether your house burns down or you got a screaming drug addict in front of you, a naked drug addict in front of your kids causing trauma, there's people having, literal drug addicts having sex on meth in front of kids. Parents are telling me they have to have their kids glued to an iPad in the backseat of their cars driving them to school. Some parents don't have cars. In other communities, they have to walk under these underpasses and walk past this. So I'll be able to tell my sons, thank God America had laws. And your dad said, hey, breaking news, let's enforce them. And we did it, and it worked. And then people came in with tons of money, and we got businesses booming, more jobs. Hollywood, we're making even better movies than we've made in 10 years because the independent creative artists are inspired again. They're feeling supported. The vision is so real, and that's my fight. I go back to, if God is burning somebody's house down to fight these people, you're burning my house down, and then you burn my mom's house down, and you have me listening to my crying mom every day for 18 months. I don't do this to be a politician. I do this to fight evil. And this is evil that has taken this beautiful city that I loved. I didn't even want to travel to go visit my wife's family in Colorado because I'm like, can they come to LA? That's how much I'm a LA person. These people that I'm running against aren't even LA people.
Yeah.
So I'll tell them the law, son.
Spencer Pratt, thank you for joining me on the All In interview.
Thank you. Hey, what a blast.
That was awesome.
Thank you.